Hi, I'm Thomas Davidson, founder of ThoughtQuake Studios. This week I'm doing a Q&A because I'm taking a vacation and I don't have any new progress on the game to show, but I wanted to still post something. I'm not going through these in any particular order and I'm probably going to butcher some pronunciations, but let's give it a try. Yuan asked, why don't you make your own mod script, like use a JSON file and have a load of values you can change? It feels like it could build the JSON system up enough that you wouldn't have to give people access to your source. The thing is, I've done that on a few games before, and I don't think the amount of time I spent on it was really worth it for the benefits I would get versus something already existing like Lua, or in this case, GDScript is just a really easy option, and I like the idea of people being able to open up a scene in Godot and use all the tools that Godot has to author new content. Of course, the big risk with my current plan is people could make malicious mods that put a virus on your computer or something. It's really hard to weigh the trade-off of development time versus making mods safer, but perhaps if the game is a success and I have more time to keep adding to it after the release, I might add a fourth modding option for safer mods using a scripting language. But even then, I can never be totally certain that some malicious person won't find a vulnerability in my scripting language that lets them do something they're not supposed to be able to do. Opulent Cargo asked, would you check out community-made games? I'm working on an automation game where the player programs robots to complete tasks. That could be interesting. If there are a few people interested in this, maybe I could do an episode where I check out games from my viewers. But I guess what I worry about there is it'd be hard to talk about the game without providing some kind of critique, and I worry that if I have anything negative to say, someone might get offended. So I'll have to think about how I might approach that. Smiling Owl asked, how do you find motivation to keep doing your game? I think of myself more as an idea person than anything else. I'm constantly having ideas for music, stories, videos, games, software, etc. So many things I could never do them all. In most jobs, I'd never get the kind of creative outlets I want, and it's hard to find time and energy for passion projects in the nights and weekends after a day job. So this is my attempt to build my own dream job. If I make enough money off this game to keep going for another year, I'll move on to the next game, and I have enough ideas to keep going for probably the rest of my life. And if it's a big success, I can hire people and make more ambitious games. This project is important to me because it determines my future, and I'm anxious because I've been down this path before and it didn't end well. I went practically broke. I'm lucky that I've gotten to a position where I can try again, but if this fails, I don't know if I'll get a third chance. Sometimes the pressure and the stress from that uncertainty makes it hard to enjoy this project as much as I should, but it feels like a waste of a lifetime if I don't take every chance I can get to chase my dreams. Godotio asked, how long do you want to work on the game? My original target was to finish this at the end of 2019, but given how many changes I've made, that's probably going to slip a bit, and luckily I do have enough buffer that I can keep working on this for a good while into 2020 if I need to. But I want to still keep it to as close to a year of development as I can, just because the longer I spend on this first game, the more of a financial risk it is. Let's Start asked, why did you decide to use C++ with Godot instead of GDScript? The original reason was GDScript is not designed for performance or low memory overhead, and when I started doing a more ambitious AI approach, that became a problem. However, I also have more experience with C++ than any other programming language, and GDScript does have its limitations. In GDScript, I really missed being able to overload functions, especially constructors. Maybe that's something they'll add later on, but for now, I prefer C++ regardless of the performance benefits. Kyron Findlotter asked, how do you prefer to pass around the game context/state to other functions/classes in C++? Decisions like this are what I think makes it hard to work in teams sometimes. I often overthink them because other programmers have strong opinions on what's the right or most elegant way to do things. In the past, I found myself spending a lot of time just trying to predict the way other people would do something so that they wouldn't argue with me about it later. But now I don't have to worry about that, and it's taking some getting used to. I'm finding my own coding style again. So for now, in Cargo Defense there's a singleton session object, which holds references to other important things like the universe, the game board, pretty much anything that needs to be widely accessed. Honestly, this is mostly just because it saves me a lot of typing to not add arguments to functions everywhere. Burak Nazlim asked, what do you think about the Rust programming language? Will it replace C++ for future game dev? Is it worth it to learn? Honestly, I don't know much about Rust. I've heard good things about it, but I think that'll really depend on engine adoption, and I don't have any way to predict that. Personally, I wouldn't spend time learning a programming language just because I might use it in the future, because if I'm not using it in the meantime, I'm going to forget things, and the language might even change. However, a lot of the skills involved in programming are universal to every language, so whatever language you learn now will still help you learn other languages in the future. Sapporoki asked, hold up, did I miss a video where the Daon mechanic was explained in more detail? Nope, the video where you asked that is the first time I mentioned it, aside from it being in some scrolling text about backstory in the past, but I didn't really expect anyone to read that. And now, no one asked about this, but I wanted to follow up briefly about the video editing software I'm using. I mentioned before that I was very unhappy with Vegas Pro and was looking for alternatives. Before I go any further, this is not a sponsored video, and I've never been asked or incentivized to promote anything on this channel. For the past several videos, including this one, I've been using Hitfilm Express, and it's not perfect, but it's a huge improvement over Vegas. It's been saving me a lot of time, a lot of stress, hasn't crashed on me once, and I found it much more intuitive than DaVinci Resolve. Just a quick interjection here. Hitfilm actually did crash on me for the first time while I was editing this video, but it was a controlled crash. It prompted me to save my work before it closed, and I wish all software would do that when it crashes. So far I've been using the completely free version and haven't paid for a single add-on. The only feature I'm really missing is a built-in text tool. But even if I do buy the $10 add-on for that, which I probably will, that's a lot cheaper than most video editing software. Speaking of which, now that I can edit videos a bit faster, I am considering doing another tutorial, but I still don't want to do it often. Maybe that could be a special feature when I reach 10,000 subscribers or other milestones in the future. In the meantime, that's all for this week. As always, it really helps if you hit the like button, tell other people about this channel, or subscribe if you haven't already. And of course, thanks for watching.